Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So we are just a couple days away from being 33% of the way to finding out what the new Social Security payment increase will be for retirees, SSI, SSDI, and VA. So we're going to be touching base on that. Also, a presidential dark horse for 2024 lets his true thoughts be known about what he would do to save Social Security if he becomes the next president. And he has some really interesting thoughts, so you'll definitely have to stick around for those as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so we have a few different proposals out there in regards to Social Security and its solvency issue, and one that's actually bipartisan is being headed by Bill Cassidy. So he took to Twitter just a couple of days ago and he made a few different comments in regards to Social Security. So his first tweet said that Social Security is going insolvent in 9 years, and that's an issue that all Americans care about. The automatic 24% benefit cut will affect all current and future beneficiaries, and he proves that by sending out a poll saying that, do you think we should address the third rail of politics and save Social Security from going insolvent in 9 years? And out of all respondents, 80.6% of Americans said yes, we need to save it, and then 19.4% said no, I'm okay with a 24% benefit cut. Now, I don't know about you, but for whatever you're receiving right now, most people aren't going to be able to withstand a cut of anywhere between 20 to 25% of what they're receiving now. Instead, we definitely need to be receiving more money, because the average retiree check in 2023 is like $1,800. Most people are not going to be able to get by with $1,800. That actually needs to be increased, and there are definitely ways that we can increase these payments. But you know, a 20 to 25% cut from $1,800, $1,800, once again, really isn't even enough right now. But if we're going to remove even more money, if we're going to have a cut of 20 to 25% from the average payment of $1,800, it's going to be even more difficult to get by. Now, we actually had a Democratic lawmaker on CNBC, and he was asked a couple of different questions about what he would do in regards to Social Security if things were on the table for the Democratic Party, such as maybe cutting benefits for future retirees, or even doing some type of means testing where people who are receiving the most amount in Social Security receive less. That way, people who are receiving less can actually receive more. So we're going to be watching this short clip, and then we're going to be coming back to talk about it.
Do you think that the Democrats will ever touch things like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, things of that nature, pushing either ages out farther, not again today, but maybe 20 years from now, doing things like means testing? Is that on the table, you think, for the Democratic Party, or never?
Well, look, the Democratic Party is going to stand staunchly behind protecting benefits for those who have worked their entire lives, paid into Social Security, and are counting on it for their retirement. But to the extent there are ways that we can address some of the revenue limits, some of the ways in which there are income caps for revenue for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, ways that we could improve these programs to make them more sustainable for the long term, I do think there has to be a bipartisan conversation about it. Because we can see the timeline on which they're going to go under.
So Coons here says that we need to protect the benefits and the future benefits of Social Security, but he does say that something needs to be bipartisan, and it absolutely has to, because we can have these partisan plans by only Democrats where only Democrats vote yes, and we can have these plans by Republicans where only Republicans vote yes. But, you know, at the end of the day, nothing is going to get done if we can't have Democrats and Republicans coming together and making a common sense plan that protects and saves Social Security benefits. Now, Coons does hint at, lifting the cap on Social Security payroll taxes, where you pay, more into Social Security even above the $160,200 threshold. But right now, Republicans are against raising taxes, and instead Republicans want to do other things to make sure that we bring in more revenues into the Social Security Trust Fund. So we do have a lot of crossover of agreement between Republicans and Democrats, like they want to save benefits for people who are receiving them now. No Republican wants to lift the retirement age for someone who is close to receiving Social Security benefits, or someone who is currently receiving them. Instead, they're saying, well, people below the age of 40 or maybe 30 can wait until 69 or 70, and then people who are receiving them now will be completely safe. Now, we do actually have a dark horse in the presidential election race coming up, at least within the Republican Party. His name is Vivek Ramaswamy, and he actually lets his true thoughts be known about Social Security, what he would do if he were to become the next president. He does make a few interesting comments, so definitely stick around to listen to them, and then we're going to come back to talk about it.
So the first thing is, I think we are starting with such a rock bottom basis of trust in this country that I just want to be clear at the outset about one thing. No cuts for seniors on Social Security or Medicare. We have to stand by the commitments we've already made as a basic backdrop of trust. Now, what I'm focused on is economic growth, GDP growth in this country. Turns out that if we continue growing at 1 point something percent per year, you're right, we're out of money. If we're back to 4% GDP growth, we actually grow our way out of many of our fiscal problems. How do we grow the economy? Let's start with that. Unlock American energy. Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy. Put people back to work by no longer using federal funds to pay them more to stay at home. Reform the U.S. Federal Reserve, stabilize the dollar as a unit of measurement. Shutting down that administrative state, that's the source of most of the federal regulations that act like a wet blanket on most of the U.S. economy. This is our path back to 3, 4, 5+% GDP growth. And then against the backdrop of actually us having more money in our pocket, already growing our way out of our problems, our debt to GDP ratio improves if our GDP grows faster. Then we can actually have rational conversations about, let's say, quirks in Social Security today, like the fact that if you're a working senior, you're actually penalized for working. Many people want to continue working, and yet in some cases, there are seniors in this country that are only getting 2 cents for every incremental dollar they make because we disincentivize work. This is nutty. We have more jobs available in this country than we do have people. So for people who want to work, they should still be able to get their Social Security payments that they paid into, but also earn on top of that. That's how we deliver economic growth. So that's working out some of these unintentional quirks in Social Security that waste money. And then I think we got to learn some lessons from the past. Back when we did have a Social Security surplus, it wasn't that long ago. If we had just allowed that money to be invested by Social Security in the same way that your financial advisor would recommend that you invest your money in a diversified portfolio, we would be swimming in surplus today. And yet we're in deficit. So what does that mean? It's the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy is the source of the problem. And if we don't learn from our mistakes of the past, we're destined to make the same mistakes in the future. That bureaucracy acts as the impediment to economic growth. Tear it down, unshackle ourselves, unleash the beast of our U.S. economy. From a position of growth, we're in a much better place, fix the quirks, get back to a place of surplus, and then actually allow people to invest it in a diversified portfolio that invests, including the market, so that we can actually catch up and never make this mistake again. That is what I intend to do against the backdrop principle of no cuts for seniors, because we have to ensure trust for people to be able to get what they've actually been promised. That's my answer. Thank you. I appreciate that question.
So Ramaswamy definitely makes a few interesting points there. First off, like all other Republicans and pretty much all lawmakers in Washington right now, he promises that he would not be cutting benefits for people who are receiving them now or close to receiving them. He says that we need to deliver on our promise that if people are paying into the system all of their working years, we should not say, oh, you have to wait a couple more years to receive them, or you have to have your benefits cut by, again, like 20 to 25%. He also says that people should not be disincentivized to work. Now, unfortunately, if you're receiving Social Security benefits, which again on average is $1,800, so unless you have some other sort of savings or some other type of income coming in, most people might want to supplement their Social Security check by going out and getting some type of job, whether it's part-time or full-time, something just to keep themselves busy and supplement the $1,800 or whatever they're receiving every single month. That way they can have a more comfortable lifestyle. But unfortunately, if you earn over a certain threshold, you actually have more of your Social Security check taxed. And he's saying that's basically unfair, that people are being disincentivized to work. If there's all these jobs to fill, why should we be disincentivizing people who are receiving Social Security from also working? Not saying that they absolutely have to work, but again, a lot of people want to earn a little bit extra money and keep themselves busy and kind of supplement what they're already receiving. And he's also saying it's pretty foolish about how we invest the money that's in the Social Security Trust Fund, because right now we just put them in U.S. Treasuries. And on average, usually those things only yield about a 2 to 3% return. But, if we were like any smart investor, we would actually diversify these investments. So we might put them like in the stock market, partially in the stock market. We might put it partially in bonds, treasuries, real estate, really diversify what's going in there. But instead, we're just putting it in treasuries. And if we had diversified the funds over the years, we would not be in a situation where in 2033 we would have to cut benefits by 20 to 25%. Instead, we might actually be able to raise benefits by now. And if you look at something like the S&P 500, over the years it's gone up by, let's say, like 8 to 10%. So when you compare that to treasuries that are yielding maybe 1, 2, possibly 3%, it's not even close. So he does make a few interesting points there, but again, for anything to get done, it will absolutely need to be bipartisan. Now, another big event coming up in just a couple of days, we're going to get the new readings for the CPIW data, and this is going to be especially important because this is going to be the first month's data out of 3 months that is especially important. So we're going to be looking at the data from July, August, and September, and the July data is going to be coming out on August 10th in just a couple of days. And then on October 12th, that's going to be the official date in which we will know the official 2024 COLA for Social Security beneficiaries. So people receiving retirement benefits, SSI, SSDI, and VA will know how much of an increase they will be receiving in their 2024 payment. Of course, there will be some things that are going to be reduced, such as the increased Medicare Part B premiums. That's going to be going up by right around $14.90. But that is going to be an interesting date coming up in just a couple of days. We're going to have to see what the new projections come in. Currently, it looks like there is going to be right around a 3% increase, but obviously that could be a little bit lower, could be a little bit higher, and we're going to have an even better idea in just a couple of days when the new inflation data is released. But that's all the news that we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like, consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.